Maybe you've heard the phrase, your desires are seeking you. Well, that sounds great, but how do you discover your desires? There are many things that are seeking to be expressed through us in this physical world. Today, I'm sharing a conversation with a spirit guide that can help you understand your desires, how to sort them out, and how to strengthen them. Desire is the starting point of all achievement, says Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich. In the Bible, one of my favorite promises that we are told over and over again is that we are to seek and to ask for what we want. In the Book of Mormon, when Nephi wanted to understand the vision of the tree of life, the angel who appeared to him asked, "What desirest thou?" It is our desires that move us forward. If we didn't have a desire for anything, we wouldn't do anything. Our desires shape who we are and who we become, and they give us our identity. When we have a desire for something, we can then make a choice about what to do next. One of our big life lessons is to learn to choose desires that are pure and good over desires that are carnal and lowly. And through the atonement of Jesus Christ and our daily walk with our Savior, our natures can become changed so that our desires become more and more pure. About 9 years ago, I went through a coaching program that was specifically designed to help us identify our desires to create a goal that we wanted. I struggled immensely with this issue. I felt like I didn't really have much of a desire for anything, it seemed, because of my upbringing. I was raised in some inherited generational patterns, let's put it that way. And as a result of those things, I felt like my agency was often squashed. And it was just easier for me to acquiesce to whatever one of my parents wanted, because that was easier than fighting against my mom. And so I kind of suppressed my own agency and desires just to feel like I could survive. And so it took a lot of effort for me to find having desire for anything and to nurture that. And so because of those experiences, I spent a lot of time pondering about desires and working to understand which are actually mine and sorting them out for the desires that I've had that were given to me by others. And now we all human beings have this conflict to varying degrees. Is what you want something that you truly want? Or is it desires that your parents have for you? Or maybe that your culture or your society expects from you? And so the more that we learn about ourselves and who we are, the more clear our desires become. And the more action we take on things, the more clarity we can get around what we desire. And then it becomes easier and easier to discover our own desires from all the other noise and programming from our childhood. But broadly speaking, where do desires come from? And what is the difference between a fleeting desire and a more persistent one? I remember a handful of years ago, I had this really strong desire to run an ultra marathon. And it was super funny because I don't even run. And I thought, well, that's really odd. Why would I even want to do something that I don't even do in the first place, and to do it as an ultra marathon? And that desire was very strong and intense, but it didn't stay around for very long. And as someone who's worked in the healing realm and coaching, so often I have dealt with people with boundaries and sorting out who am I and who are my parents, especially if you've had generational trauma in your family. Something else to think about related to your desires is that there are desires all around us, energetically and spiritually, that are looking for a way to be expressed and created in this material plane. If you think about the people who we might classify as being the creative type, which we all are, or being an inventor, there are these ideas that come to them that they then express. Our thoughts are things, meaning that they are energy. They have an actual force behind them, an actual life behind them. These thoughts and ideas surround us, seeking expression. There are also many entities in our spiritual realm seeking to influence us, our desires, and our actions, for good and for evil. So finding out what we truly want can be really difficult, but it is critically important. Without a desire, nothing happens. It's the first step we need to grow and to move forward and to reach a goal. So these are all things that I'd been pondering and was wanting to understand. I'd pondered and prayed about it a lot. And I had a series of conversations with a spirit named Jordan. And Jordan taught me more about who I am and where our desires come from. So here, I want to share my conversation with him about desires, and then I'll elaborate on some of what he said at the end. This is what Jordan said. Everything you seek is within you. They are intelligences seeking expression. As you feed them, they grow, like more lights gathering together to increase their presence. If you ignore a desire long enough, it will leave and find some other place where it can receive expression. So they're not really mine then? Mine then? I asked Jordan. It's more like who I am is fluid? Yes and no. This is where discernment and going within comes into play. There are intelligences and desires that are inherent to who you are, and there are others that are less so, and even others that stop by looking for a place where they can be expressed. Your task is to learn to discern which ones to give life to. It is most important to find and give life to those that are inherently you. Okay, so how do I learn the difference? Jordan explained, those that are inherently yours are always there, so you will feel their insistence throughout your life. Of course, it is possible to ignore them or to have little awareness of them. The ones that are stopping by and looking for expression may feel very strong, but they won't persist. If they're not expressed quickly, they simply move on. These desires, are they more general, or are there some that are quite specific? And are there particular laws governing them that would help me? Excellent question. Yes, there are laws. The desires can make themselves known, but they must respect your agency. They will never force their expression. You must seek for them and bring them forth. They will show themselves as thoughts or images or strong feelings, not fleeting or passing feelings, but ones that persist. Follow them, and you will feel free and joy. Ignoring these desires and clues brings sadness. How do I facilitate bringing forth these deep desires? Seek after them, talk to them, listen, be persistent. While they are strong, they are also not very vocal at first because their light isn't bright and there are only few of them. As you continually seek, more are lit up within you and their light becomes brighter. In my conversation with him, Jordan mentioned something called intelligences. If you're not familiar with this concept, it's something that I first learned about when I joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Here are 3 definitions from the church website about intelligence. One is, it is the light of truth that gives life and light to all things in the universe, and it has always existed. Definition 2 says, the word intelligences may also refer to spirit children of God. And definition 3 is the one that is important for our discussion today. The scriptures also may speak of intelligence as referring to the spirit element that existed before we were begotten as spirit children. So these intelligences are essentially individual, if you will, pieces of knowledge that come to gather together and they form us and our being. I've also heard Bob Proctor talk about it in a book that's called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. He also, Wallace Wattles talks about intelligences. And you can think of these intelligences as individual particles that are responsive to our desires, to our wishes, to our commands. And they want to be expressed. So our desires start out small as an individual intelligence, and then as we nurture it through visualization, or by expressing it through words or actions, or by writing about it, it grows. And it grows by attracting other intelligences to it. And like Jordan said, we need to give heed to the things that we're drawn to. So notice what sparks your interest, what lights you up inside. If you're not sure, get into a quiet place and take some time to think about it. It might take multiple efforts to get it sorted out. You can also imagine different things and notice what you feel. Or look at your past experiences and write about the things that lit you up, that got you most excited. This is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. And for myself, I have found that I have resisted my inherent desires because they didn't fit into who I thought I was and what I grew up believing. So one of the things that I am expressing now is a desire to grow herbs and flowers. I love having a yard full of flowers and herbs, and I'm starting to have fruit trees as well. Prior to that, I expressed that desire by growing vegetables. So I still had the same desire for gardening, and I thought that growing vegetables was what I really wanted. But I would grow the vegetables and deal with the garden and the pests and learning about it. And instead of making me happy, it left me frustrated and irritated more often than not. But it took time to accept the desire to grow flowers and herbs instead of vegetables because it didn't feel practical or like there was any good purpose in doing that. So sometimes you might have desires that you're kind of expressing that you need to just shift a little bit, but it might feel uncomfortable because it's not something that is already part of you. It's there, but it's small and it needs to grow and be expressed. So give yourself grace as you learn to accept your true desires. And as Jordan taught, we have to seek after our desires. We have to strengthen them. We have to nourish them. Think of your desires like a relationship. You can't just have a one-time encounter with someone and expect that that's going to be a fulfilling experience. We need to have ongoing interactions and time with people to develop a true, strong relationship with someone. And our desires are the same way. We need time with them. Napoleon Hill, in the book Think and Grow Rich, teaches that once we have a desire, we need to spend time daily visualizing the desire, feeling the desire, experiencing it. And this strengthens our faith and our belief so that it becomes easier and easier to take action to express that desire in our lives. So as always, to truly grow, to express who we are, we need quiet time. We need to ponder and pray and meditate. We need to take time to be with ourselves, to get to know who we are. And I would say even more importantly, to spend time with God. God is that light and that feeling in your heart. He is there within you just as he is without. He planted those intelligences in you. He made you with these specific desires that you have. Take note of the passing desires and also the persistent, strong ones. You can even talk with them, draw them, whatever you want to do to get to know them better. As you do so, as you nurture your desires, your path is going to get more and more clear. And you'll find that things that you thought you wanted or that seemed attractive to you to spend your time on just slowly lose their attraction or their hold over you. And then you are slowly refining yourself, and you are now creating the life that you want for yourself. You are expressing the light that is within you that is seeking for this particular expression and way of being. And as you do that, you will find more and more joy in your days. Next time, we are going to talk about the spiritual meaning of time and physical reality.